Hey, this is Dave from Spread the Disease, and you're watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin. And today on the show, we are going to get really, really heavy. This is one of the heaviest records that has come across my desk this year. It is The Darkness, the Dread, the Suffering. It is Spread the Disease, which I'm going to be honest, I had no idea that Spread the Disease was even still a band. I remember the old days. I didn't hear anything for eons of my life, and now we're back. And here to talk all about Spread the Disease and The Darkness, the Dread, and the Suffering is the guitarist himself. It is Mr. Dave Buschemeyer. Dave, how are you, man?
Well, thank you.
Dude, it's great to talk to you. And like I said in the intro, I had no clue that you guys were back, man. So let's start there. I'll start with the obvious lame-o question. Where the hell you been?
Honestly, we just grew up and went our own separate ways, had families, did the careers, all that stuff. But there's just something inside that's just like still there. We just still wanted to do it as guitar players. So yeah.
Sure. Well, when you bring it back, especially this kind of music, Dave, it's not that easy. I mean, I'm sure you're well aware. But we see a lot of bands that try to come back and they just don't have it, whatever it is, that fire or that fury or that angst. Mm-hmm. You guys certainly do. This is the heaviest thing you've ever done. Talk a little bit about that, man. Was it easy to get into this place that we're at now? Did you guys have to force yourselves a little bit, or how did it get to this level?
Honestly, the way I've been approaching sort of writing music in my life is like I come from it from an artistic standpoint. Mm-hmm. And when I was young, it was all about this emotional resonance. Whereas now I get an idea, like a vibe. I say, I want to somehow create this vibe. How can I do that? And then I just start writing music and see what comes out of it, see what happens. And if I know that I'm on the right track when I send Trev, our other guitar player, riffs, and he's like, "Oh, this is amazing." So I'm like, "Okay, you think it's amazing?" Like, he's my guitar brother, so sure. If he thinks it's amazing, then I know I'm on the right track, and vice versa. So again, it's the motivation is a little different. Actually much different, but the original idea of combining sort of we were all hardcore kids, or sure. Combining hardcore and black metal was still there. It was still in us to want to write music like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
right on. Well, I'm curious, do you think that the younger version, the original version, when you guys were in your 20s or whatever, could that band have written this music?
No, so that band was all about just jamming riffs together. So every song had 20, 30 riffs, all kinds of different parts. And this new album is a lot more refined insofar as the songwriting is better. It's a lot more. I would say even though it's a lot more aggressive and faster and darker, I would say that the music is a lot more. The word isn't poppy or poppier, but it's a lot more memorable now. Okay. When you come back to riffs more often, when you come back and it's like a jingle. It's almost like the new album is like a jingle, whereas the old stuff was just like a hodgepodge of riffs thrown together. So
right on. Well, you may call it a jingle, but it's a jingle to an ugly world. That's for sure. Because I mean. Not that it's any secret to anybody anywhere, but the world is pretty ugly right now. And again, this is me just speaking as a fan that's listened to the record 15, 20 times at this point. I like the way how you go on the attack of a lot of subjects, but don't necessarily overdo it. You know what I mean? You still leave enough for the interplay of the person to make a decision what they think. Was that purposeful, or is that just how you write now as a lyricist?
Oh, so I don't write the lyrics at all.
Okay, well then there you go.
Yeah, the lyrics are done by Shane.
Okay,
You may know Shane. He was in a '90s band called Bird of Ill Omen from
Sure.
Florida. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were deciding to put the band back together, we knew that Ben was not going to want to be on board. Though we did talk to Ben as the original singer, we talked to him, and he basically gave us his good graces to continue doing what we do. I told him, of course, that we would try not to sully the legacy of the band
Sure.
with anything new. But when we thought about getting somebody new in to sing, we wanted to keep it in the family, and it was Shane for sure, because Spread the Disease had done a bunch of shows with Bird of Ill Omen, and we had kept in touch with him for years. And so I know that from his perspective, he's a working class guy. He's a mechanic and he does what he does, but he's also very frustrated in the same way that we are frustrated with what's
Mm-hmm.
happening in the world. And I tend to think that that balance between being somewhat political, but also not, what's the
Not
word?
preachy.
Yeah, exactly. That, to me, that kind of nuanced way is the way. There's the preachy thing is always something that I try to avoid
Mm-hmm.
um, in just in hardcore and in anything really, because who am I to tell you what is the truth and what you should believe? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who am
Mm-hmm.
I?
Well,
I'm nobody. So
and honestly, dude, that this is what I think hurts so many bands these days. They get that, I don't know what they get, that rush or that
mm,
adrenaline or whatever from their social media likes or whatever.
mm,
And they go to that instead of working on their message in the place that's built for them to deliver a message, which is their music. I love the fact that you guys have kind of roped it into your music without saying Donald Trump is Hitler or Joe Biden sucks or whatever.
whatever.
You,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
All of the above. Yeah, right. And this absolutely, and again, I don't write the lyrics, but this really
Sure.
reflects me personally too, because
Mhm.
I'm the kind of person who believes in um, that I should be working on myself. I should be doing the inner work in myself before I start pointing fingers at other people.
Sure.
When I was younger, it was a lot different, but obviously, I have the benefit of hindsight. So,
Right. Well, and the truth is, and in your case, if your politics do not exactly line up with the lyrics in the music,
right.
you still get lumped into that. I get that with one of the shows that I do is a talk show, and my co-host is, we joke that he's the driver of the Trump train. He's one of those guys that's like all the way in. And
Hilarious.
I am not that.
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm like whatever. Abortion fine, guns fine, whatever, fine. Leave me
Mhm.
alone. That's kind of where whatever that is, libertarian, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
But yet I get sucked into when
Mhm.
people start with the this and that. I get sucked into it.
Yeah.
And that sucks because it isn't true. I imagine that it's the same for you, even more so because one, you are the legacy member of this band, and two, it just feels wrong when you get accused of something that just is not what you believe. Yes.
I mean, this is sort of a major modern problem, which is that
Mm-hmm.
there's a real lack of nuance when people think about other people. I mean, like some of the most amazing people I know are completely on the opposite end of a political spectrum, and they're
Mm-hmm.
both. Like if I had to think of a couple people I know, one is the most raging leftist I've ever met, and one is like a super right person, and honestly, they're both lovely.
Mm-hmm.
So this notion that if this othering notion where like, oh, you're one of them, therefore I don't have to listen to you, oh, you're one of them, therefore I don't have to believe anything you say, and everything you say must be some ism. This to me, it really doesn't work for me at all, and never
Mm-hmm.
did. And in fact, I actually went back to school, and
Okay.
I encountered that a lot in the university system. There's a lot of isms where you get
Sure.
lumped in, so I had to really be careful because I knew that people weren't going to appreciate the nuanced version of things that I would likely come up with. So.
Right on.
Hey metalheads, tired of waiting for new episodes? Crave the real raw classic metal show? For just $4.99 a month, you can become a CMS VIP. You get every episode a full week early, completely uncensored, and 100% commercial free. It's the only place to interact directly with the show, plus you score the Fast Pass, so your song requests get bumped straight to the head of the line on every live version. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now at classicmetalshow.locals.com and become a CMS VIP today.
Well, moving back, I don't want to talk all politics the whole time. Let's get into actual music and stuff, because I'm sure you don't want that either. Let's dig into this thing a little bit. For you, and like you were saying, as you were writing riffs that developed into songs, I don't know, for me, listening to this versus listening to the old days, it definitely feels heavier. I almost don't want to call you guys a hardcore band anymore. Most people associate hardcore with, Agnostic Front or Madball, and that ain't, again, that's not what you're doing here.
Oh.
Do you care at all about that versus, like, for me, I listen to the record, I hear a lot of death metal riffs, I hear a lot of black metal riffs. The songs themselves are all, I think, under 3 minutes, or at least most of them are, to where it's real just short blasts. What do you want people to classify you as, if anything?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I know that after we were around, there was an explosion of what people are now calling blackened hardcore. And I've had a lot of people tell me that we were one of the forerunners of that. When we were around, we had no idea what that meant. That was not a subgenre at all. But if I had to think about it, black and hardcore is pretty apt. Though I would say the hardcore bit is again, like you said, much less. Now, I really relied on this sense of D beat, like the sort of punkier stuff combined with black metal, which to me feels very exciting in the same way that listening to His Hero Is Gone or Tragedy or something.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of really forward directing attack, but with the more metal approach. To me, that was where we were going with it. Personally, where I was going with it. Trev, of course, was on board. What I want people to call us, I truthfully don't care. Yeah, I'm good with whatever anyone wants to say. You want to call it pop punk, then go ahead. I'm good.
Put you and Taylor Swift in the same boat.
Yeah, whatever. All good.
You'll be happy to open for her in some stadium somewhere, right?
100%. Let's go.
Nice. Well, dude, let's dig into the darkness, the dread, and the suffering. And I certainly want to talk about what is my favorite tune on it, which is the longest song on it. I think it might be the longest song of your career, which is The Blight in Their Eyes. Was 7 minutes or so. It's a very long song.
Yep.
It's very riff built. And that's me looking in. You tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels like you built it off one or two riffs, like you started in the middle almost and built out. Okay. Tell me, is that kind of how you went with that song, or did it come together in a different way?
Yeah, so actually, the majority of the writing of that song was done by Trev.
Okay.
And when we were sort of comping it all together and like discussing where stuff would go in the song, we had a bunch of riffs. I approached him and said, "Hey, I want you to start writing, or I would like you to start writing because I'm writing too, and I think we should do this." He came up with this stuff that really reminded me of what we were doing back in the day, but of course a lot more refined. And it was the first song we wrote for the record.
Okay.
And then I think that song was how we found our footing, and the rest just came along so easily. That's one that we're not currently practicing, but who knows, when we start doing shows again,
sure,
it could end up in the set. But to me, that one, more than the others, feels like a more raw version of the direction we're going in.
Okay.
Which is maybe why it's at the end, I guess. I don't
sure.
Don't, yeah.
I get why you might not do this one in concert, just because it is so long, and unless you're headlining, nobody wants to give up 7 minutes in a 30-minute set. That just does not make sense.
Yeah, that's right.
And I get that. But at the same time, it to me, and I don't know what feedback you're getting, you tell me, it feels like the signature song of the record to
Wow.
me. It really feels like you could have put that directly in the middle and built everything on the top and the bottom of that.
Okay, this is great feedback. Thank you. I had not thought of it that way. And actually, once we're done with this interview, I'm going to go and listen to it again to see what you try and hear what you hear. That's awesome.
Right on. Well, man, you mentioned shows, and we're talking a little bit about shows. You put out a record, you want to go out and show it.
Yeah.
It's the most difficult time maybe in the history of rock and metal music to get out there and do it. So, what kind of opportunities are there for it? And, what are you guys planning to do?
Right now, our goals are smaller than I would like them, but then again, just keeping everything in mind, everybody's got kids and lives and careers and all of that. And I'm going to grad school in September, so I won't have a ton of time.
Sure.
But we're just focusing on getting some shows set up in Southern Ontario, so in Toronto, Hamilton.
Okay.
I want to play in Montreal. I spent a bunch of years there. And then when it comes to other things, other opportunities, Europe or the United States. United States is a difficult one because the border is a situation. You need a lot of money in order to make to get the visas all worked out. But we're definitely open to doing some shows in Europe, and we've had people reach out to us, say, "Hey, by the way, like I'm in Philadelphia. Like I'll put on a show for you. By the way, I'm in California. I'll put on a show." So it's starting to happen. It's starting to snowball and roll. But right now, our main focus is just getting through the summer, and we're working on the set. It's 8 songs.
Okay.
Half new ones, half old ones, plus a cover. And then so we're just working on doing stuff locally for now because that it makes the most sense for where we're at in our lives. So
sure. Do you think maybe the record has time to get out there and it's going to take people a minute to even realize that this spread the disease is the same spread the disease that they might remember, because it does sound very different. With that said, though, I would say probably looking forward, would it make more sense for you guys to kind of in the next season of shows to try and do the festival things? Maybe try to get Sweden Rock or Wacken or even here in the States, Milwaukee Metal Fest or something like that. Is that kind of what you might target where you could, especially with your schedule where you're,
right.
You have scheduling obligations?
Yeah, 100%. This is those big festival dates are something that we've talked about. We don't have a managerial sort of plan for any of that.
Sure.
Because we're coming back to this as like adults when we were kids. We don't have the ins. We don't know the right people to make that happen, but it'll happen. It'll happen. I have no doubt. We love what we're doing. We want to do it. We can't devote a ton of time to it, but we want to devote some time, and we want to maximize the time that we can. So,
right on, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to ask one throwback question, just because it's one that even when I was getting ready for the interview today, I did a little bit of Googling, and of course this comes up over and over and over for you guys. Your '99 Hellfest performance. It is definitely the legend of your band starts and stops with that performance. It seems like people that were there, and it seems like there was like every metalhead ever now, because you go online and you read the comments and there's like 10,000 comments. So, oh yeah, it was great. And they weren't all there, but tell me about that performance, man. And does it stand out to you the way it does to fans as like your most legendary moment on a stage?
Oh yeah, no doubt, 100%. And the thing is we went into that knowing. So the guys in the band were all jokers. Like they all just wanted to have fun. There's constant laughing and breaking each other's balls, etc. And so we went in thinking we're going to play this hardcore show, and we never really felt like we fit into hardcore per se, right? Next door to us down the street, we had Buffalo, which was like, the sort of tough guy, sort of moshy hardcore. We didn't
Sure.
really fit into that. There was a lot of the metal that was happening. We weren't really fitting into that. So we thought, if we're going to play this Hellfest in Syracuse, New York, we're just going to sort of like, have fun in the way that we wanted to have fun. So we all got out our old, our old rock and roll gear and pretend to be, we just pretended to be like total like hicks, so
Right.
it was great. It was fun. In no way were we trying to make fun of anybody in particular, but we were really just out there to sort of make an impression and to sort of have a laugh
Sure.
at ourselves, but also the entire shtick that hardcore was at that time. So, yeah.
Dude, what's the craziest thing to think about that now is literally it's almost 30 years ago now. That's insanity to me. That was that long ago.
Time has been flying by. It's crazy.
It is, man.
Yeah.
Well, man, what we try to tell everybody on this show is if you're going to stream something, all right, go ahead, give it a listen or two or three even, but then buy something. Buy a hat, buy a shirt, buy a vinyl, buy a keychain, whatever is out there to buy.
Yeah.
Where is the best place we could send people to buy something from Spread the Disease?
Okay, so essentially right now it's our label. It's Hypethral Records. It's HYPAETHRAL. And if you go to their Bandcamp, they have our old records on there. They put out one of our old records, and they have our new record, a bunch of stuff on there. That's the place to go. If you're in the US, then King of the Monsters, I believe I don't think it's a Bandcamp, but if you look it up, the King of the Monsters put out a compilation of our early 7-inches and early material we did. So you can go there. Those two places are the places. Right now, we're not into the selling our own stuff game because we're just early in the planning for the show's spots.
Right on.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, definitely people should pick up something. I mean, support the band so they can get out there and play Hellfest or Wacken or Sweden Rock or here in the States or whatever.
Yeah, this is the goal. Hopefully we can get hooked up with some people who know what they're doing.
Absolutely, man. Well, dude, I'm telling you as seriously as I can, The Darkness, the Dread, the Suffering it might be the heaviest record that I've gotten across my desk this year. It is so heavy and so violent and so great. I love it, man.
Thank you.
I love that it has the elements of black metal and death metal and all that stuff, but not so much that you get Cradle of Filth to death or Cannibal Corpse to death or, you really got a great mix here. I suggest everybody checks it out, Spread the Disease. And Dave, this has been fun, man. Thanks for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
They say you should never look back, but I've never been good at following orders. I'm Chris Akin, and while most of you know me for the radio and the interviews, I've got a past that would make social justice warriors' heads explode. My latest book, and Other Things I Should Not Say, isn't a self-help manual. It's an autopsy of the years 1986 to 1990. 4 years of sex, booze, and absolute chaos while I was serving in the military in Korea and California. I'm talking about stories that stay buried in the back of your memory because society tells you they're wrong and ugly. Well, I don't live in fear of my past. Every filthy, calloused, and ridiculous moment in this book actually happened, and I'm damn proud to share it. If you're easily offended, keep walking, pal. But if you want to see what happens when you pack a lifetime of dangerous living into just 4 years, head over to Amazon.com or just go to the link in the description and grab yourself a copy today. Both middle fingers are up and the truth is right here. Get some CMS, uncensored, and Other Things I Should Not Say is the book, and it is sure to offend and sicken and make you laugh like you never have before.